So I thought maybe I'd try some different today. Hopefully, let me don't jinx it. But anyway, good evening. Welcome to Live with Ria. I am Ria, and I'm live, and it's 9:30 on a Sunday on the East Coast, so of the United States, of course. And very glad to have you here with us this evening. So, like I said, this is going to be a little different. I carry a number of tech hats. I enjoy a number of tech hobbies, and there's a lot of crossover in between our various hobbies and various things. So we're going to talk about my vintage computer addiction. But before I do that, I'm going to talk a little bit about current events. Not again political or anything. Just that I think the world today has been kind of, I don't know, kind of screwy. And, I just, whatever you believe in or you don't believe in anything at all, just hope for peace, let's hope we get some peace. Pray for peace if you believe in some things and I just hope that we have peace worldwide. But that said, I think that I don't really, peaceful people are not my enemy. So I have friends in Ukraine. I have lots of good friends in Ukraine. I have friends in Russia, too. I have good friends in Russia. And I don't hold them responsible for the actions of their government. And I just think that, I could judge people independent of their country. That's like people won't hold me for against me the actions of the United States, because I don't agree with everything they do. Anyway, that's that. And so I've had a busy weekend. What really prompted me to do this was I actually went down to the vintage computer swap meet down at InfoAge. So if you all don't know who InfoAge is, I will tell you that InfoAge is basically a museum built on the old Camp Evans in New Jersey, right? It used to be Camp Evans. If you don't know, InfoAge used to InfoAge, which is on Camp Evans, used to be Camp Evans used to be basically the I want to say the headquarters of the Signal Corps of the United States, and now it's a big science center. So they're kind of just they're really just they've taken the history and they've made it into something nice and unique. I've been down there a few times, and mainly for the Antique Radio Club. Well, they have the Radio Technology Museum. So anyway, so let's see who's in chat here. Yeah, it's in Wall Township, New Jersey. I see we have Ham Radio Adventure Guy, Ed Sweeney, Ross Emerson, Amrad Podcast. Okay, that's new. Nice to see you. Tank Radio. Okay, and Ross Emerson. So my first computer, I'll say right out the gate, was a Commodore 64. My dad bought that. Well, it wasn't mine really. It was, my dad bought that, and we had it there. And I spent lots of nights typing in programs. So InfoAge website is here, okay? And you see they're not your usual science center. InfoAge, that area down there is where they did all the experiments with the moon bounce, right? And the military didn't really use moon bounce for any communication. They use it for over the horizon radar, because there's a meme about saying about Gen Z, if you're worried about things going on today, don't worry, Gen X has your back, or something like that. And we ate the we ate the Pop-Tarts straight out the foil. So something like that. Yeah, Tank Radio, okay. And yes, I had a Commodore. I did not have a TI-99, although I did read about the TI-99 in the issue of Compute Magazine. Compute Magazine was great. And we actually met Jim Butterfield. So my dad, he went to a computer show And it was like I don't know, I think it was a computer club meeting, and Jim Butterfield was there. So those who don't know who Jim Butterfield was because he passed away. Jim was a very famous Commodore enthusiast. He was a programmer, and he was a member of the Toronto Pet Users Group. So he was a Canadian, but he's a very famous Commodore person, and I believe he was also a columnist for Compute magazine. But yeah, he was famous in those circles. So it was a pretty big deal meeting him. But anyway, InfoAge is down there, and there is the let's see here. InfoAge. There is the exhibits. All right. There is a Vintage Computer Federation, right? So there's radio technology, military, dioramas, shipwreck computers. There we go. So you see, they have the Vintage Computer Federation, and they're having VCF East in April 22, 23rd, and 24th, which is going to be epic. So I think I'll go down there for 1 day at least. I'll take the kids down there. We had the swap meet already, which was yesterday. VCF East, April 22, 23, and 24. There are going to be a lot of great, speakers. Bill Hurd is going to be down there. Those who know who Bill Hurd was one of the engineers at Commodore. And, you know what? What do you got? Okay. We'll chat. Tandy 1000. Okay. I'm always interested in stuff. So Mach 7 radio intercepts, I never really had tape. We were one of the fortunate few to have the 1541 and the disk drives. And my dad's friend, he had a data set, okay? And that thing was slow. I mean, you spend half an hour loading a program that was probably 30 kilobytes, 30 kilobytes today, you don't even spend 30 milliseconds loading that. But yeah, and we had a dot matrix printer, the Commodore MPS 803. We wanted to get the OKMate 10, but the OKMate 10 was so expensive. And the thing about the OKMate 10 color printer was that the ribbon, once you use one portion of the ribbon, you can't make more than one pass on it. So yeah, so that's kind of how it was really. Let's see here. Make this right here. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. We never had a Mac. My dream computer was always the Commodore Amiga. I was a Commodore loyalist, and I never really liked the I didn't really think Mac was a big deal back then, for me at least. It was revolutionary, but I liked the Amiga better because the Amiga had a lot more features for programmers, right? And this is how I think, okay? So the Mac back then, I think was more of a thing where you buy software for it, and So let me go back a little bit, right? And we're going to do a little freeform discussion, but I'm also going to show you some video from when I was down there. The Mac back then, for me, at least my impression, so they were all based on the Motorola 68000 series processors, right? So back then they had, the 68000, that was a big deal. They had three main types of 68000 consumer computers. There was the Macintosh, there was the Commodore Amiga, and there was the Jackintosh, the Atari St, okay? So, yeah, so what happened is Jack Tramiel, he was booted out of Commodore, and then he went to Atari. And then Atari, he made some machines for Atari called the Atari St series, the 520 and the 1040 St. And those were kind of like, the dark horse. I wasn't really a big Atari fan. I liked the Amiga. And the Amiga was another company that Commodore eventually, I believe they either acquired the project or they acquired the company. And they made those computers. Now, why I like those is because they had this whole, they had a lot of features, like they had a built-in speech synthesizer, right? And they were very easy to program and such like that, So I always, my experience in computers is programming, right? I never really, like just buying commercial software because for one, we were poor. Okay, when I mean we were poorer than Americans, right? We're not poor, but which is, it's not bad being poor, okay? And just to get that out of the way, but we're not, we're not like, struggling for food or anything. But in Trinidad and Tobago, everything was just expensive due to the exchange rate. So if you're buying software, that was a big deal. And you wanted to buy, you could buy I don't know, you could either buy software. Frankly, a lot of people just pirated software. Okay, and or you could program. So what we did was we did kind of like a hybrid of both. We actually got the magazine from the Compute magazine and Compute's Gazette, and then we typed in the programs. So you'd get like these big listings, right, of Compute magazines, and they would have program listings in the back of the magazine or in the articles, and you just type them in. They had two flavors for Commodore 64. They had the basic programs, and then they had the machine language. Now the machine language was originally, when these people were writing their programs, they would write them in assembly, 6502 assembly, and then it is so poor you didn't even pay attention. That earned you a comment on the screen, buddy. Okay. And so they wrote it in assembly, using a machine language assembler. But when they actually typed it in the programs from the magazine, you would use the machine language editor called MLX, where you're basically typing in numbers and or later on hexadecimal, because they were able to checksum it better. So initially, you type in like a series of numbers, like you type in 000, 012, 256, well, not 256, 255, 255, and then in the end you have a checksum. At the end, that checksum was so simple. All it did was just added all of these numbers together. And then this means if you made a transposition or something like that, it would not catch it and would not work. And that bit us a few times. So, but they had a checksum, and then you kept typing in the program going down. And then at the end you save it, and then you could save it to disk, and then you could call it up another time. And when you load up, you either type the SYS commands like sys. The most common one was sys 49152, right? Because that was a popular area of Commodore 64 memory to write programs to. That block, which was also hexadecimal C000. And then you can, you could just load it up. Later on, they changed MLX where they made it to hexadecimal two-digit numbers. So you type in the program like, C0, AF, F2, etc. going down the road, and then you do a checksum in hexadecimal, and that was less error prone. So that was a good thing. Anyway, I like that, those kind of things, and it was pretty nice typing in programs. Well, it wasn't nice typing; it was nice getting programs for free, included with your magazine subscription. Okay, so yeah. Let's see here, Amiga 2000. Oh, cool. That was nice. Yeah. CPM. The Commodore 64 had the Commodore 128 had a built-in Zilog Z80 Zilog Z80 chip in it, so you can actually run CPM on that. It had 3 CPUs in it. Well, it had 3 modes. It had the 64 mode, the 128 mode, and the CPM mode. There were 2 CPUs. There was, I believe it was the 8580, not this. So the 64 had the 6510, the MOS 6510, and then the 128 had one called the 8580. An interesting thing about the 128 was that if you switch on the 128 in 128 mode, and then you switch to C64 mode, a lot of the subsystems of the 128 are still there running, and they were actually addressable from, you could actually address hardware in the 128. Like I believe you could address the CPM chip. You can address the Z80. You can address the 80 column video chip, right? And that was pretty interesting because Compute Magazine actually made a word processor called SpeedScript. But what they did later on was they adapted SpeedScript because the Commodore was only 40 columns of text, right? The 128 had an 80 column mode. What they actually did was they modified the 64 version to use the 80 column chip. So, right. Okay. So let me see if I could bring up this video. I've been trying to get all my OBS in a row here to see how I could how I could get it to run properly. And so let's see here. All right. Come on. All right. Okay. All right, hopefully this works. And I'm going to turn down the audio because the audio is not really that important. So we went to VCF swap meet and they had a number of computer type exhibits here. But they had like a lot of they had a lot of old laptops. I noticed ThinkPads and such like that. That reminded me of my ThinkPad T40. I think that might have even been a T40. I'm not sure. But we had that. Those of you who were in the PC scene back in the days, there's an old UPS, right? Those of you new, I'll flash it, man. Taking a good picture of this guy's thing. Okay. Huh, is that the video? Oh, okay. Anyway, all right, so there was this vintage Trinitron monitor for sale. A lot of old computers on the floor, apparently. All right, let me see if I could get. I know I have another clip with that. So let me see here. So yeah, by the way, I also went to the Limar Campfest today, Long Island Mobile Amateur Radio Club, and I met a number of my friends there. I met Nomar, NP4H, he was there. I actually met a student from Cooper Union, the Cooper Union University. He was interested in starting an amateur radio club, and it was very interesting talking to him. Oh yeah, this is the video I want. So let's see here. I'll yoink this one. I'll yeet it according to the kids, and then I will bring up. This one might be a little stoppy because it's 4K, but yeah, it's good stuff. All right, and this was like a whole walkthrough of the flea here. Okay, and okay. Oops. Right. Okay. There we go. Okay, so let me do this. All right, and I do the video playback, and yeah. Okay, right. They had a lot of this stuff here. So I want to show you, I was actually doing, we started off, there were some 1541s. Hang on. Okay. I have to downsize this video apparently because it's playing back at full 4K resolution. Next time I'll just shoot in 1080. How about that? It's 1 minute here. More patience than what? Okay. There we go. Yay! All right. So we have the 1541s. Like I said, we were one of the fortunate few to have a 1541. and we were just like walking around. They had this old K Pro. IBM fans, you know, they had old IBM, and there's my son. He's marveling at that. We actually got a few things from the free table, right? They have this old Imac G5 here. I think that's a G5. Somebody could probably correct me and tell me if that's a G5 or not. It might be a G4. Yeah. Works OS 10. Yeah, but it's PowerPC probably, right? And next to it is a Sun SPARC machine. I don't know which one is that, but I actually worked on a lot of Sun SPARC machines when I worked at, well, I worked for a Sun reseller. I didn't work for Sun themselves. Yeah, OBS crashed. Okay. But anyway, I don't know. Like I said, when I get my new PC, all will be my new Mac, all will be, yeah, all will be good. So let me stop this again. Patience, my friends. Yeah. Okay. One more thing here. So now, the good news is I got the audio down, and you know, the video is just a problem now. Let's see here. So actually, this actually was an affiliated Hamfest, right? And then they kind of like, you know, they built it as a Hamfest, so there was a lot of ham stuff around, right? Oh, this one was kind of interesting. This is an old stadium seat, apparently an old Apple stadium seat that they had there. Let's see what else they got here. That's Sun SPARC again. That wasn't one of the pizza boxes. That one looked like it had a floppy disk drive in it. Let's see here. So old vintage radio gear. You know, this person had like a lot of vacuum tubes and a lot of old gear. Because I guess, well, you know, why not sell everything electronic? You know, you see old computers at a Hamfest too, so why not cross it over, right? Yeah. Now, I had to tell my son and my daughters, don't touch anything, okay? You do not touch any of these, especially, you know, even though it's not plugged in anywhere, because these might have capacitors that are still charged, right? And it's kind of, you know, these things are out in the open. You want to touch, you want to feel. Don't do it, because you might get a nasty surprise, even especially CRTs. You know what? No, the MacBook is not. Let me tell you what the problem is. The problem is supply chain issues. It's already been ordered. They're telling me April. So that's a problem. Okay. It's not that, you know, it's not money. I'm not saying this in any way. I'm just saying that, this one is covered by insurance, but, I'm not getting a new one until April, because Apple's just so back ordered. So no worries. Yeah. So anyway, let me continue. But I do appreciate the sentiment. You know? Yeah, so they have high voltage there. There were some aviation instruments this guy had too, and old antennas as well too. You know? You know what? It was appreciated. Thank you. I wouldn't say no, but you know, I'm just trying to be transparent here. So yeah. All right. We walked around here. More of this. Oh yeah, there's this Amiga here, right? I really you know, it was a computer you could feel and touch, and it wasn't powered on, but it was there, and it had the extra floppy disk drive with it. I don't think this was an Amiga 1000. Might have been, what was it? All right, I think we're back. Yeah, the computer just froze and rebooted. I mean, you know, it's kind of like, it's one of those things. This generation of MacBook, if anybody's considering buying one used or anything like that, I would just avoid. I mean, you know, I've had nothing but problems with it, and it's kind of just at the point where I just can't wait until until I get the new one. But yeah, it's just tough because this one, if it's not one thing, it's the other. You know, the keyboard was one thing. I had the keyboard replaced once, and yeah, Putin, Putin can't touch me, you know. So yeah, you know that somebody said that how they were DDoSing websites. I doubt that's what happened to me. But anyway, we'll soldier on again, okay? But the good news is everything seems to be in the place where it was, which is weird. I'm not, you know, I'm not complaining, right? But yeah, here it is. So I'll restart the video playback. Well, I'm not going to restart. I'm just going to go and show you guys again where it was, right? And okay, right. Yeah, so you have that. I showed you that already. The Amiga, right? The Amiga's there. And then, oh, okay. Yeah, there's a bunch of these TRS-80s. Is it TRS-80s? Yeah, there are a bunch of these TRS-80s. Okay. Well, you got the Amiga. Let me pause and restart here. I still wish I could get one, but I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Well, that didn't want to cooperate. That was an idea, but you know, it happens. I'm telling you. Yeah, it's tough with this computer. It's just, you know, I'm gonna have to figure out something out. But I got this TRS-80 here, and oh, there were a bunch of laptops that said buy me $100, and let me see if I could show you it as a still video. Right, they had buy $50 laptops, and they had a bunch of other things here. Buy me $100, you know, on the screensaver. So we ended up buying two 2015 iMacs because those were cheap enough, and I figured, you know, the kids will bang them around. And yeah, you know, if my MacBook completely died, I would probably just bring a PC and stream, which I should probably do anyway. You know, you gonna lend me a PC, Addie? Yeah. You lend me yours? Okay. Right. Okay. You got those. And they had a lot of ham, well, not a lot. They had quite a few bits of ham equipment. And they had radio control cars for some reason. They had a few of them. And this one was like $300 for some reason. I don't know why. Was it rare or something? Or was it, you know, was it like a vintage piece? I don't know. But it was definitely something out there. You know, $300 seemed kind of really, I want to say like unexplainable, but I guess it's probably a collector's item. You know, it's probably rare. They had somebody with a 21-inch Trinitron monitor, which was about, he was charging like $400 for that, you know, and then he showed an eBay listing where somebody was selling it for like $700, you know. So what else was there? They got that. Okay, Heathkit manuals. I guess the Heathkit was built already. This is an old UPS, right? Again, with exposed batteries, exposed capacitors, and exposed high voltage stuff. You do not touch, you know? I mean, you know, you're just looking to get shocked there, right? It reminds me of this YouTube video where these guys were like at an AM transmitter and they were like frying. So I'll tell you, first of all, they had the Americans, right? So the Americans were like there with their safety gloves and their safety boots, and then they were with a clamp there, and they were actually drawing an arc from the radio antenna, and then they said, that is why in a you know, a Southern gentleman accent, you do not touch this a live AM tower, okay? And then you have the Russian guys, okay? Some young Russian guys with a piece of grass, okay? Holding it up to the antenna. And then they say, oh, you can play music and change the station, you know? And these guys were just there having fun. And they didn't tell you that you do not touch. It's like, I don't know, it's funny. 128, missing a key there. Missing a few keys. You know, $200. That seems legit. What else was there? Somebody had a cash drawer there. And, MSX Basic, you know. MIDI keyboard. That's an interesting piece of kit. Right? This was a XSM 120, I don't know, Yamaha thing. Then camera was pointed downwards most of the time. Well, you have these like this was like a Panasonic typewriter. That was like $20 electric typewriter. Anybody here still use electric typewriter? I don't know. I told, the kids asked what was that for, and then it's $1 a pound. Yeah, they're power hogs. Power hog is a consumption of me, not from a green standpoint so much, but from the fact that I aim to be able to run everything from batteries, and then kind of like that was yeah. Anime, the old computers are really pretty. Yeah. I wouldn't say they're pretty. I think they're pretty, but they looked and a lot of things back in the day, the design back in the day was that you build everything ornate and really nice looking, and all the old radio sets back in the day were like that. Now today they look like a slippery rock, So let's see here. And same thing goes for computers. SSDs do speed them up to an extent, although this MacBook has an SSD already. You still have a typewriter? Yeah, right, exactly, for NCR forms. You probably need a typewriter. Press hard, 50 copies, right? Okay. Okay. All right, let's get back to the video. All right. You had these old home-built PCs with like AMI BIOS or Phoenix BIOS, and it's probably a few years old, Got Pentium 4 or something. I had my last computer before I had this one was a Pentium 4. It was a Dell Pentium 4. What was this one? Genuine Intel CPU 2140 at 1.6 gigahertz. What was that? I don't know. I guess that's probably like a Core something, or is that a Pentium? But yeah, this was good. Laptops. So my son got 2 free laptops that he is going to be playing with, and because he's nuts on that stuff, he really loves that. He's probably listening to me in the chat. He really enjoys messing around with these computers. I gave him a Mac Mini, and he's going to load up Windows on that on a boot camp partition, I guess. Let's see here. Got those. I think he took one of those for free. Right? Yeah. So we're going to clean that up and use it. And yeah, there he is examining the goods. What is he saying?
Was that a Toshiba as well too?
Okay. Yep. Compaq and Toshiba. This was before Compaq was HP, right? Because HP bought them out, And I remember when Compaq bought digital equipment, and they killed off the Alpha server, right? And then so these kids were like, okay. I think that was the end of that, because we were taking these computers to the car and then going, right. I think I came back and did there were a ton of these old game cartridges for like all these various console game systems and such, I saw some for like PSP, You know, Mahi was looking over the Game Boy Advance games. I still have a Game Boy Advance SP somewhere. And I have a PSP. My PSP still works, by the way. And it actually works pretty well. I've been playing a number of different games like Grand Theft Auto, Vice City. I think it's Vice City Stories, though. Right? On PSP. Yeah, that was a great game. So, yeah. So, you know, this was a pretty interesting fest there. Let's see here. Okay. 1170 at work. Let me see if I could pull up another video because this is thing and my camera's probably lagging by now. Let's see here. Yeah. So, you know, if you're going to VCF East, be sure to let me know, and you know, and you want to meet up. It's in Wall Township, New Jersey, and it is quite an interesting computer fest. Like I said, you know, you'll have people like Bill Hurd will be there. I was hoping 8-Bit Guy would show up, but I don't know. He's another YouTuber, and he's probably gonna be at VCF West. I know they had VCF Midwest, right? And I'll show you here. Nope, not that one. There was one where we bought the iMacs. Oh yeah, there's something I gotta show you. So within this whole InfoAge complex is the this is 174. Within the InfoAge complex, they have a number of different museums, right? And then let's see here. Is it playing? Nope. Okay. Yeah, they have a number of different museums, and they the Radio Technology Museum is always one of my favorite, and you know, it was just it was a fun one because they have a lot of historical artifacts, and I'll show you one from the war. They have a lot of historical war artifacts, right? And this one here in particular was join the WAC Star Spangled Heart, right? So this one was out just outside. You walk out the women's restroom and you see this here. I don't know if they did that just in the museum or if it was actually that, you know. But let's see here. Yeah. And they tell you about at that time, you know. Well, of course, still you kind of don't really have women in are women in combat roles now? I don't know, but you have more women in the military now. But then I guess you had like, you know, the Rosie the Riveter characters and such back then who were not necessarily on the front lines, but they were in the more or less you know, they were in the war efforts in their own way, right? Let's see here. Yeah, lag, yes, but not too bad. Okay. All right. Now, let me go back here, and I'll show you. Okay, good. Clear now. And, yeah, so they had this here. And they have a number of these war propaganda posters in there, the old war propaganda posters that they were actually showing in the museum. I'm going to have a whole video on this museum actually working on right now that they're you know, I got a whole tour of all the radio equipment. But if you're in the area, you know, it's definitely worth your while to come down and see this, right? Because they definitely have a whole bunch of interesting exhibits that you can actually see, and you know, it pays for me as a technology person. It really, you know, shows how technology could be a force to, you know, to change the world, to be quite honest, you know, because technology helped us win the wars, you know. And, I mean, you know, these wars were pretty crucial. I mean, you're talking about the future of mankind pretty much, you know. I mean, war is something, you know, but war, you know, war is necessary evil sometimes, you know, because you're basically fighting against evil people. But technology definitely won the day for us here. And, okay. Yeah, I'll show you the magic moment with the MacBooks here. Not the MacBooks, the Mac Minis. All right, 138. Cut 138. Oh gosh, I'm gonna sound like Mark Levin. Let's see here. And yeah, it was somewhere here. Okay. There we go. Yeah, so these kids, well, that old mechanical keyboard was nice, but it was $200 and something dollars, I think it was. No, $350. Oh my God! But those keyboards are better than a lot of these modern, chiclet keyboards or membrane keyboards that you have. Yeah, so we bought these Macs here. We got one for $100, and we got the other one for $50. So for two 15-inch Mac, I'm saying MacBook iMacs, Yeah, the kids will get to play for them. I mean, the kids have PCs, but two is one and one is none, right? And then yeah, I took that monitor for him for free too. So this one has a little crack on the glass, which I'll probably see if I can try to fix. But I heard it's a real bear, but the crack really doesn't affect anything. So they're there, and they're actually, the kids have them and using them now. Let's see here. Signatures, a person sent hazmat drive. Okay. Yeah, the WAC pilots are pretty awesome. Got to fly planes right off the assembly line. That's real interesting. Yeah, that's real interesting. Let's see here. Yeah. So other things, I mean, from my computing, my computing obsession. In my career, I worked for a few different companies, but I would have to say one of the most memorable, apart from the most interesting job I had. What was the most interesting job I had? It's a toss-up between when I worked for the house of Rupert Murdoch or I worked for Fujitsu. And Fujitsu was interesting because I would go to clients and, fix some Sun machines and Sun SPARCs and such like that. And I do voice over IP and such like that, and that was real interesting. Most of my clients were oil and gas, by the way. Okay, it was kind of ironic now, but I also my last job was interesting too. Who knows where the future will take me? And yeah, but I think if we don't learn from our past, we can't continue the future. People see all these old computers and, they don't know how good you have it now. And there's a lot of other little pieces of hardware in there. And that was pretty nice. Okay, so that one was a T42. The 399 Trinitron, right? And they have VCF East. I'm trying to figure out which clip I'm going to show you next. Oh, yeah, you got to see this one. I didn't share this one, so it's 973 here, and this guy was showing us some aviation instruments, right? And it was real good, interesting stuff that he was showing us there. Okay. Right. So this one you have like the vintage equipment there, and you can see the Atari boxes in the background. And this is a tube tester here. I mean, I didn't see any computers with tubes, so I would assume these were part of the assortment of radio gear that was there. You have a Radio Shack TRS-80 color computer. Was that the Coco or was that something else? The tubes again, But I think a lot of these were from aircraft or not. You had the tube tester there, and there was something else. I knew I retook a piece of this video here. Oh yeah, we had a bunch of old altimeters here, $5 each. Well, altimeters and other gauges. Old avionics, I guess, you know. I mean, was it called avionics back then? Probably not. Hey, Silver Stacks Prepper, thank you very much for the super chat. You are so awesome. Thank you. Yeah, that was you know, that was a pretty interesting thing there. This apparently was a compass that was fluid filled or something, you know? I don't know. Yeah, more junk. Sorry, some of it is just junk. You know, it might be treasure to some people. But then you have COC. I don't know what that is. Okay, here. Yeah. Flight and nav instruments. Yeah, okay. I think this is not liking this. Let me see here. All right, so I'll pause this here. Okay, go back to main. And we'll go back to here. Oi. Yeah. And let me see if I'm back up yet. This laptop definitely has a coolant problem. And you know the funny thing is I stream perfectly well on my desktop without issue, so okay. Seems to be back. Yeah, you know, running those 4K movies, you know. Okay, so the compasses are fluid filled. Reboot ski time, yes. A whiskey compass, okay. Radar, okay. Yeah, and you know, I did talk about the radar altimeters, right? The radar altimeters are going to be blown out by 5G, okay? Hang on to your butts. Let's see. Yeah, it's the movies, you know. What I'm going to do is next time I'm going to just run them through Handbrake. And then I'm just going to down-res them to like 720p or something, and that should be perfectly fine. So, let's see here, what else? So anyway, if you are in the area, right, and you definitely want to check this out, you could go to InfoAge, and there at, if you just, you know, type in InfoAge and like any modern GPS, it will take you down there. The InfoAge history, it's 2201 Marconi Road in Wall Township, New Jersey. And they have the Radio Technology Museum, and they have the other stuff, the Vintage Computer Museum. They have a bunch of old tanks and military machinery and stuff. It's a really cool, really cool, you know, really cool step back in time to, you know, the way we won the war. Let's see here. Try to bring up my web browser here. And let's see what it says here. Chrome. Okay. Oh well. All right. Yeah. All right, well, thank you for spending your Sunday night with me. I think I'm gonna, you know, shut it down here because the computer apparently is wants to shut it down already. You know what? What can you do to help? If you know anybody who can get my MacBook here faster, then it's taken Apple to ship it. That'll be funny, you know. Yeah, Douglas V. Let me tell you that. Yeah, that was my favorite. Yeah, that was the guy from Jurassic Park, right? You know, some things etch in your head from the movies, you know. And you know the computers they used back then were Silicon Graphics, right? SGI. Those were some pretty interesting things. Yeah, unfortunately, WB8CXO, we outmanufactured our enemies back then. Today, not so much. Today, we're kind of like not really outmanufactured. We can't even outmanufacture, you know. I don't know. We're just not doing it anymore. We're just not, you know. It's I mean it's pretty pathetic really what we've come to, you know. And I delagged. I put the other camera on because the other one has lag. All right, and you can see quite the difference. You see that one, that camera there has like all the nice, you know, bokeh and everything, and this one is just a webcam. Okay, and this one, you know, this one looks terrible. That one looks a lot better. Let's see here. Right? And that one's angled differently and it has a light on top of it and everything, and you know, and reboot again.